Welcome to this session on mindfulness, awareness, and compassion. Today we'll be talking about a sequence of practices and going through them, experiencing them, of getting grounded, getting settled, being mindful, being more aware, connecting with environment, and then working with kindness and compassion. So to begin with, take a good posture, be in a comfortable seat, sit up as straight as you can. I'm going to raise this up a little bit. There we go. Sit up as straight as you can with your head not tilting up or tilted down. It'll feel a little bit like the back of your head is extending up and your chin comes in naturally. Let your arms hang straight down from your sides and then swivel your hands up onto your thighs, palms down on your thighs. Right hand on the right thigh, left hand on the left thigh. Your feet can either be flat on the floor or crossed gently in front of you. If you're in a chair, they can be flat on the floor. If you're on a cushion, obviously on the floor, they're crossed loosely in front of you. There's no need to force your legs into a particular posture. Your back is upright, and you feel like you're not tilting, either leaning forward or back, left or right. You can't really describe what center is. It just feels like it's neither left nor right, neither forward nor back. Let your weight sink into the chair. Let your eyes gently close, and we're going to scan for tension. You want to feel like your spine is an upright column, and the rest of you is kind of hanging loose like the canvas of a tent before it's pulled out into the full tent shape, before the tension of the ropes are introduced. Take a nice full breath and slowly exhale all the way out. That's a first sweeping out and a relaxation of tension. The exhalation is more connected with relaxation, inhalation more with energizing. So take a full breath, let it all the way out again. And now scan from the top of your head, forehead and scalp, eyes, ears, cheekbones, jaw. Being aware of your jaw, that's where we gather some tension. Let any unnecessary tension just flow down and out of you. Neck and shoulders, upper arms, chest, and upper back. Often we're holding ourselves up, shoulders up. Just let them fall, let them relax. Let that tension melt, just flow out of you. Rib cage all around, lower back and deep belly. Hips and pelvis. Thighs, forearms, and hands. Knees, calves, ankles, and feet. Let your awareness drop deeper into your body. We often think of our mind as being up behind our forehead. Let your mind drop back and down, back behind your throat, back behind your chest, down past your solar plexus, down past your navel, and rest deep in the core of your torso. A few inches below your navel, in front of your spine. Feel the depth. There's some front and back as well as the sides of your core. You can imagine that the breath is coming in and out, down there rather than through your nostrils. In through all your pores around your core, filling you. Out, out into the environment in all directions around you. Let your weight sink down so you're fully in your body, fully grounded. Now let go of the control of your breathing. Let your body breathe itself, imagining that the breath is coming in and out of your core. Let your eyes gently open just halfway, looking down under your eyelids, not focusing on anything particular, just soften your gaze. Just awareness that your body is there sitting in this space. There's in front of you and behind you and to each side. The breath coming in from all directions, going out to all directions. And awareness of your posture. If your mind wanders into a daydream, just smile and go, ah, that's mind wandering. Reconnect with your posture, reinvigorate it, and tune back into the feeling of filling and emptying as the breath comes in and goes out, your body breathing itself. We'll do this for a few minutes. As the gong fades, reconnect with your posture and open your eyes, looking further out, either at or below the horizon. It's helpful to start a little bit below so that you don't get too distracted. And again, soften your gaze so you're not looking at something particular, just looking in the direction straight ahead of you, but open to the whole space that you're sitting in. Again, as best you can, awareness that it's not just in front, but to the sides and behind you as well. And as you breathe out, what's actually happening is your breath is going out into the atmosphere, mixing with the environment, and dissolving into that environment, becoming one with it. Or you could say not separate from it is a little better. There's not just one thing out there. It's all the billions of molecules that make up the air. And as the breath goes out, open your awareness out into that space. It's as if your mind is going out along with the breath, opening, not so centralized on yourself, but opening to the environment with a feeling of letting go as you open. And just rest there in that openness as the breath comes in. So with each out breath, there's a quality of your mind going out, letting go, and resting. Out, opening, and resting in that openness. Again, if you get caught up in a daydream, no blame, just smile, go, mind wandering again. As soon as you realize that you're already back, just wait for the next out breath and go out, open, and rest. We'll do that for a couple of minutes. As the gong fades, raise your gaze up just a bit above the horizon, looking out, imagining that your awareness extends out in all directions, beyond the horizon to the sky, beyond the sky, out into the stars and galaxies in all directions. Out beyond the farthest stars, and rest for a moment in that infinite openness. From that open space, mind as vast as all of space, have awareness that that space includes all beings, all living beings have in common with ourselves the desire for peace, health, and happiness, and the wish to be free from pain, anxiety, and suffering, struggle. We all have that in common. It's common to all of our hearts and minds. Understanding that, establish the intention, the wish for oneself and all beings, including oneself, all beings, including ourselves, to have happiness and the causes of happiness. Wish for all beings, including ourselves, to be free from suffering and what causes suffering. And imagine that you could absorb into your being, or if it's helpful, into a point of light in your heart center, absorb all the suffering that exists and radiate out from your being, from your heart center in all directions. Happiness, peace, health, and happiness throughout the universe. There's a quality, a feeling of texture to that. The heaviness of struggle and suffering. The lightness of peace and happiness. From that general sense, think of loved ones, your loved ones. Imagine them there in front of you. You can do this with your eyes open or closed. Either one particular person or a small group of loved ones who are going through particular struggles and suffering. Imagine that as you breathe in, you're able to take that away from them, absorb their suffering, and transform it and radiate out to them from your heart the cool moonlight of kindness that fills their beings with peace, health, and happiness. Take away fear, illness, anxiety. Radiate peace, health, and happiness to them. It's easy to want your loved ones to be free from suffering. It's easy to want them to have happiness. You know that you feel that they don't deserve the suffering they're going through, that they deserve to be happier. Now turn your attention to yourself. You can be one of your own loved ones. You can love yourself. Sometimes we feel like we deserve the suffering and don't deserve the happiness. Flip the script. Absorb all your own unhappiness, anxiety, pain, and suffering into your heart center. That light in your heart center transforms it and radiate out to yourself, filling your whole being with the cool moonlight of kindness that soothes the suffering, that brings you happiness, which you do deserve. The same way that all beings deserve to be happy and free from suffering. Now extend the scope to everyone you've ever met, humans and animals. And imagine that you are gathering in and absorbing as you breathe in all of their suffering. And the light of compassion in your heart transforms it into the cool moonlit light of kindness that as you breathe out, radiates, filling all their beings, including yourself, with peace, health, and happiness. If there's a person you've had difficulty with, understand that they're struggling to find happiness in the same way you are. And whatever negative emotions are there between you, absorb it from both yourself and them, and radiate out to yourself and that other person the opposite. If it's anger, gather that in, radiate out patience and acceptance that you feel towards each other. If it's jealousy, Gather that in and radiate out the feeling of generosity from yourself and from them. Now, as best you can, expand that to all living beings, all creatures great and small. And think particularly of people going through extreme difficulties, people and animals going through extreme difficulties, like war zones. All the people in Ukraine, Congo and Nigeria, all the victims of aggression around the world. Take in the pain of the parents of the poor little children who were killed in Thailand. Radiate to them some peace of mind, some freedom from their suffering. Knowing how important food and shelter is to you, send out the wish for the beings, the people who and animals who don't have food and shelter. Take away from them their hunger and insecurity. Breathe out to them sustenance and peace. As the going fades, let go of your imagined world. Close your eyes to halfway open, or open your eyes to halfway open. Tune back into your body and your breathing, settling and centering. Now you can repeat after me or use your own words to further extend the intention to be of benefit to others, to put them before oneself even. So we say, may the practice I have just done be of benefit to others, even more so than to myself. And that's the expression of generosity, of kindness and compassion. So thank you. That concludes our session of mindfulness, awareness, and compassion. And now let's open the floor. I think you can unmute yourself if you would like. We could have some discussion. Mike?
Doc, I was wondering, I think perhaps this may be helpful, a little discussion of this may be helpful for all of us in our practice, but I can't help but to go back to Amanda's comments in the beginning. Amanda's Dilemma, we'll call it Amanda's Dilemma.
Okay.
Might be a good title for a book. I wonder if it would be helpful, if you think it would be helpful for Amanda to explore the notion that you've written about before, and that is that we have thoughts, but we are not our thoughts. Would that be helpful for her? I know it would be helpful for all of us, probably.
Yes, that's it kind of goes with the ocean and waves analogy. There are several different metaphors, like the sky and clouds. The clouds don't perturb the sky particularly. Clouds don't bother the sky at all. Sky is there all the time. We may not see it when the clouds are completely covering it, but it's always there, and the clouds come and go. So that is, thank you, Mike. That is a helpful analogy as well. And we even use the, the analogy of birds flying across the sky that don't leave a trace. They don't leave a trail when they fly across the sky. We can't use jet planes, because they do leave a trail when they go across the sky. But sometimes it feels like our thoughts are more like that, and they're leaving a trail. But in fact, the trail eventually dissipates, and it doesn't affect the sky. So it is a very helpful analogy. Amanda, do you have a thought on that?
It is helpful. I would just add, I think it's something to do with an energy as well. And so it's the energy which can be transformed to be used positively, maybe, Yes,
that is another practice for you.
Right.
Okay. So, and this is something that Pema Chodron teaches a lot, and that is drop the storyline. So when you realize, you see, when you're caught up in it, in fact, there's an expression, try not to let your mind take the shape of the thoughts, because when your mind takes the shape of the thoughts, there's no background. There's, basically you can't see the sky because you're completely occupied with what the thoughts are. So at that point, you are caught in the wave. But as soon as you realize it, as soon as it dumps you on shore for a second, as soon as you realize it, then you go, oh, okay, here's my practice. Feel the energy, drop the storyline. Let go of the thoughts about why am I feeling this way? Or what am I feeling this way about? Just drop those and go, what does this anger feel like? What does this violation feel like? What does this frustration feel like? What does this irritation, whatever word label identifies that feeling of what you're going through, sadness, guilt, anxiety, whatever the feeling is, drop the storyline and tune into the feeling. And that's when you connect with the energy. if you've practiced and you go, okay, what is this energy showing me? Insight can arise out of that. And as you said, the anger can be useful, but not when it's directed towards the object of the anger. And what the teachers say is our emotions are going that way. And what we need to do is go this way. And as soon as you go, that's from here, then you go, okay, what is the insight arising from this anger, not directed towards others, but what is it telling me about myself and the situation?
Yes.
And the first thing it can tell you is, don't believe people when they tell you they'll be done in 2 days. and the reason is, first, so there's a saying, do you know how you spell assume?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that, Amanda?
Well, it's either 2 or 1 S's.
No. Well, there's 3 parts: ASS, you,
Right.
ME. It
Right.
makes ass of you and me. Okay, so that's the first thing for assume. And the second is understand that many people, especially as Tim pointed out in the chat, construction people, operate from the principle of it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. If they had said, it's going to take a week and a half, you might have said, oh, no, that's not acceptable. I'm going to find somebody else to do the job. Mm-hmm. And you would keep finding people until someone told you it was going to take 2 days. And then they would come and take a week and a half.
Yeah.
So that, you see that laughing?
Yeah.
Now, you are laughing about the exact same situation that you were furious about.
Yeah.
You just got their view of it. And it reminds me of a story that a friend of mine told me. He and his wife were arguing, well, you're a blah, 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 blah. And then the other person said, well, you're a blah, 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 blah. And then he said, you're a blah, blah, blah. And she said, and Birgit, it's perfect that your cat just came into the picture, because at the same moment, both of them realized that sitting on a kitchen chair, equidistant from both of them, but off to the side, was their cat that was watching them like a tennis match, like this, and this, and this, and this. And at that moment, they both got the cat's perspective of these 2 funny beings yelling at each other. And they both burst into laughter.
Yeah.
So it's stepping out of that, I'm right, they're wrong, this is how it should be, they didn't, they weren't fair to me. And all this, what about me, what about me, what about me, what about me? And going, what's going on here? And then you laugh and you go, wow. And of course, you said it yourself. I'm getting upset over a window when at some point I'm not even going to have a body. What am I going to do then? And so it's a wake-up call saying, how attached am I?
Safety.
Okay.
It's a false sense of safety. It's a feeling of safety in the environment one lives in, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a false sense. So I'm getting ready for dying, aren't I, then, by letting go of the idea?
Yes, exactly. And seeing how attached we are, not just to, it's even behind the safety, to things being the way we want them to be, and to ourselves being who we think we should be. And I think that there's an additional factor when we get so upset. There's part of us that says, I'm not the controlled, peaceful person I thought I was. And that's even more upsetting. So Trungpa Rinpoche called that negative negativity. So you have to make friends with your anger and your frustration as well. And if you can do that and have a sense of humor about it, you might be able to not take it out on other people quite as much.
Yeah, yeah. Because that's the last thing I'd say. The danger of this is that one can say things. Like when I was young, I witnessed people being very angry and saying,
Very
hurtful
hurtful
things,
things, right?
very damaging things to each other and to other people. And that's the danger of this sort of energy, that you're absolutely right. It's got to be very carefully managed, because it's all very well for the couple and the cat, being amused by the cat watching them fighting, but they may have said some pretty nasty things to each other, which could be pretty detrimental to their relationship.
Absolutely. And that's why the image of don't let be aware if your emotions are going that way and turn around and look. And
That's great. The hat, yeah.
The other analogy from Khyentse Rinpoche was you can relate with your emotions like as a lion or as a dog. When a man throws a stick at a dog, the dog chases the stick. When a man throws a stick at a lion, the lion chases the man.
Yeah.
So are you chasing your emotions out there as if they're really out there and you get caught up in what's out there? Or are you like the lion and going, wow, that emotion, where's that coming from? Where's that coming from?
Yeah, that's perfect. I'll work with that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I hope it's helpful for everybody else as well.
It certainly can't hurt. Michael, you raised your hand, but I want to address Tim put something earlier in the chat. Very common with construction people. Yes, I mentioned that. And Tim, didn't you have some, here's the word, vrittis or samskaras Amanda is the Sanskrit term for these.
Thank you.
Those underlying things that bubble up. Michael.
Yeah, so lately I've been feeling a bit deflated, and it comes from witnessing this actor, the performer, juggler that's trying to keep all these worldly concerns afloat. And Amanda mentioned it. It has to do with a sense of security or comfort, and this has been going on for days, and there's this tremendous clarity in the distinction between this actor and this spaciousness that's witness to this panoramic view of what's happening. And this sadness, there's this tremendous sadness in this, not a depression, but just a sadness. It's as if, well, anyway, I don't know.
You want some comments on that?
I wanted to ask you, so as I'm witnessing this, and I've been practicing obviously for much less than you have, what happens to this actor over 40, 50 years of practice?
It's not the years, it's the mileage. I had a couple of things for you. One, the sadness, you can think of it as sad as depressing or sad as poignant. And that is that sadness includes compassion. You see, because you have that sadness like, oh, wow, it's so challenging. Things are so challenging. And you go, but here I am. And there's this spaciousness around that. And then you go, this is when you go, wow, how many other beings feel that sadness? I'm not alone, and at the same time I am. And my wish for them is to be free from sadness. And so the poignancy, actually, Trungpa Rinpoche called it sad joy, because there's a poignancy to it that it's heart. You feel your heart, and that's so much better than not feeling your heart. Now, the other aspect is humor. So when you said I've been feeling deflated lately, I thought of, those blow up dolls that you cannot, they're like dressed as a clown, and you can knock them over and they stand right back up again, right? And I pictured you going like a big balloon going. He's deflated. So you see how you smiled? So when you're saying, I'm feeling deflated, there's a sense of humor. And the other thing, which I have actually used, when you feel like you're juggling, you say, well, that's my job in the circus. And juggling. And there I am. And you know what? It's just what I do sometimes. I had a friend of mine, long time friend, and she would say, what do I do about this? What do I do? I'm juggling. I said, well, you're a juggler. And she went, you're right, I am. And it changed the perspective of trying to be something other than what she was. And the interesting thing is, as soon as she got that perspective, and you can do this, as soon as you get that perspective, you can decide how many balls you want them to toss you. And you go, okay, so I've got 4 balls, 2 irons, and a sword that I'm juggling here. I don't think I can take another ball. I think I'm okay, but I'm going to keep these going. But I don't think I can take another ball. And you get a little more discriminating about what you're juggling or not. So hopefully that will have a sense of humor.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, gang, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love working with all of you. It's so nice. Thank you for paying attention. I'm sorry about all the day changes and everything. Ironically, all the people that I changed the day to Thursday for, none of them appeared here. So I'm kind of liking Thursday. Is that okay? Obviously, you guys can make it. I think I'm going to try and stick with that for a while rather than just change here, there, and everywhere. So there'll be plenty to work with through the course of the week when we meet on Thursday. So we'll have a lot of material like Amanda did. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for sharing everything. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.